Spot TV, round number 7 of the UK&I Monday Night Skippies. We're racing down under at Oran Park. Join us in just a few moments. It's Monday night, it's Race Spot TV. Rachel Whiteford, Connery Maddock bringing you all the action here from Oran Park for round number 7 of Monday Night Skippies. Connery, we're back. It feels like it's been so many seasons since we've been here at Oran Park. The track may no longer exist, but it breeds some incredible racing. And no Tom Ward. This could be an exciting race.
It could well be. He's not entered himself into this race, so we will definitely be seeing another winner this season that is not Tom Ward. But in terms of your provisional qualifying right now, Gary Tall currently on provisional pole, then it's Mark Turner, Mick Watson. And then if you look down to around about that 5th place, you see a driver that I've been impressed by over the start of this season, Gareth Dorning. We've never really seen him in and around the top 5, but for the past few rounds he's been there, whereas before he was usually outside the top 10 usually, but he's been improving quite a lot over the past season, so I really want good things to happen to him.
Certainly has been. Of course, Gareth Dorning, one of those names that's been really improving. John Sully as well on there. Seymour Harding, Craig Hobson and Patrick Fairbanks all having had some fantastic runs so far. Small grid today. We're looking at about 27, 28 drivers at the moment, depending on who runs. But, well, things are a bit fun down under. Time's about the 1:13 mark. Going to about 1:16 at the back of our grid, so a bit of a spread of traffic here. In fact, fairly abrupt actually. Our 1 second bracket for today's race actually extends all the way back to 19th. Yes, again, this is how good this series is, Connery. Top 19 within a second.
Yeah, exactly, and there's just a sheer amount of drivers that are in the 1:14s. As we have Stuart McFadden, he's currently on his final timed lap, in fact, and he hasn't put in a valid timed lap. He's just going to come through the final corner right now. Let's see what he'll be able to manage as he comes across the line, as we look at the points, Rachel.
We certainly will. Points time. Well, Tom Ward, he isn't here, but he doesn't need to be. Tom Ward sitting on 150 points so far. 5 starts, 5 wins shown in the points here. Looking at the standings, of course, as drop weeks are counted. And well, yeah, he's pretty safe. Next position behind him, Mark Turner in 2nd place, 79 points. Bill Fraser in 3rd, fantastic jump from him. Not had so many great finishes, only 2 top 5s so far this season, but a good result from him. Gary Tall moving up the points very rapidly. Stuart Adcock hanging around in 5th with McFadden, Cox, Dorning, Tucker and Watson. And that's another driver we haven't mentioned as well, Connery. Jake Tucker, one to keep an eye on.
Yep, definitely. And this fight for what is going to be a 3rd in the championship and back is very, very close indeed, because you see Bill Fraser and Gary Tall, they are tied on points currently. Then Stuart Adcock only 3 points behind, Stuart McFadden 5 points behind. So that just second half of the top 10 is very, very close indeed at this midpoint in the season.
Certainly is. And well, looks like everybody's put in their qualifying times. It was 3 solo laps for qualifying today. Small track, so we don't want to have people running over each other. So race control, of course, deciding to have it as a solo session rather than multiple cars. So these times, of course, draft not a factor. We're seeing individual pace, and it's quite interesting to see the spread there. And that's taken out of the equation. But this will be an interesting race, Connor. We should see some fantastic battling here. I did say before the race that it could be a tall order for the 207 of Gary Tall to actually take a win after last week's fight with Tom Ward, but not such a big job this time with no Tom Ward on the grid. Is Gary Tall going to run away with it?
Well, just looking at the qualifying times, he's only ahead by just a fraction of a second. So I definitely don't think he's going to go to the front and get away with it just on qualifying pace alone. I think we'll see a multiple car fight for your race lead. I think the top 4 or top 5 may have a chance at winning this if there are no incidents to talk about. So, well, I don't know who to call is going to be the race winner after, well, once we get into doing this. Usually I would just say, oh, Tom Ward's probably going to win whatever, no matter what, but since he's not here, it's a very, very tough call.
Well, let's not forget the new teammates of Mark Turner and Mick Watson forming up this season, the 310 Esports racing team. That could be an interesting pairing. Teamwork could be a factor on a track like this where racing is tight, and having a friend around you could be a big important factor. As well, this race is going to be onto the grid now. We're going to get ready. We'll go through your qualifying results very quickly. On pole position today, Gary Tall with a 113.668. Mark Turner there as well. In second place, Mick Watson third, Stephen Wareham in fourth, with Gareth Dorning in fifth, Clark Williams, Bill Fraser, John Sully, Seymour Harding and Stuart Adcock rounding out your top 10. The rest of those positions on the screen, Connery, as well. We are heading onto the grid now with all the entries. We are here, of course, 19 laps. We're expecting a big one.
Yeah, we really are. And the run to the first corner isn't going to matter too much because, well, there is really no braking zone for the first corner since it is a flat out corner. So the only first main braking zone that we'll be getting to is that of turn number 2, and it's pretty much a long 90 degree left-hander, but a 90 degree left-hander it is, as we have most of the cars on the grid right now. Just one grid spot free at the front. That one is Bill Fraser yet to get himself to the grid.
Certainly is. We'll see the wee Scotsman get himself on the grid very shortly and ready to go racing today. Lovely weather here in Australia, of course. Conditions 83 degrees Fahrenheit, track 92. Winds from the south about 8 miles an hour. The engines rev. And we go green here at Oran Park. Good run by Gary Tall at the front, Mark Turner, Mick Watson, second and third. But a bigger run from behind by Wareham, who's going to push himself up. Will he go for a 3 wide this early on? Will he be brave? He's nosing in there, but he'll back himself out. Nice and patient. 13 will get through on the 310. Holding second place there. He's 3 wide behind them with Bill Fraser, Clark Williams and John Sully back there as well. We'll see Craig Hobson also just in the background moving forwards as we get some 2 wide through turn number 4. Everyone cleanly through the first part of this lap, Connery, as racing gets underway here at Oran Park. And out front, it's a bit quiet, but in the mid-pack, things are definitely hairy.
Yeah, it's definitely hairy, but there's been no major incidents so far during the first couple of corners of this race. Meanwhile, there was Patrick Fairbanks in the 109 just trying to get his way around number 43 off Seymour Harding as they come through the first sector. But Patrick Fairbanks not able to do anything. He's diving that car all around the rear end of that number 43 machine, but it's just not working so far.
Plumley went wide a couple of corners ago, but he's okay at the moment. Fairbanks is one we're keeping an eye on, of course, Connery. Had some fantastic performances, hoping to see a lot from him as the season progresses and future seasons. Across the line to end lap number 1, Gary Tall. Second place, Turner, Watson, Wareham, Dorning, your top 5. And for the lead, Mark Turner dives to the inside there of Gary Tall, but will back out just before turn number 2. After Gary Tall gets a little bit sideways, carrying that around the outside there. But a good run here by Turner, who we kept to the outside. Gary Tall has the inside for number 3. Early attack here from Mark Turner as from behind. Watson coming under attack from Wareham and Dorning. Those cars pushing forwards. Bill Fraser also making some moves here, Connery.
Yeah, he really is. Bill Fraser started in 7th. He's up to what is going to be that 6th place right now. So up one spot in the net gain. But this is still an absolute train from the front of your field all the way down to around about Stuart Adcock in 8th place. And then you've got John Sully, Seymour Harding, and Patrick Fairbanks, which is just dropping off the back of this train a little bit. As you just saw at the front there, the number 139, Gareth Doing just run a little bit wide out there. Just loses the back of Stephen Wareham a little bit, and then he's going to come under threat from Bill Fraser coming into the final corner. Bill Fraser just tries to stick his nose in through the final corner, not going to make it work though. He's going to follow very close coming across the pit straight.
Bill Fraser always one we'll keep an eye on here, as looks like Watson will make a move on teammate Turner heading towards turn 1. We'll see if he lets his teammate through here. The 310 Esports Racing Team entries side by side there, a little bit close coming through 1, and they'll just fight it out here. They're letting Gary Toll get some room. We did mention we'll keep an eye on Bill Fraser, of course. He's going to be one to watch in this, of course, expecting Adcock to come forwards as well. We'll see who can make it through the very close frontier, as 23 car there, Stephen Wareham, getting up the inside there of Mick Watson in the 310. And he will get it done. Nicely made there by Wareham, as through will come as well. That's the number 139 machine, Gareth Dorning.
Yeah, but it is this very tight fighting behind him, actually. Mick Watson, Bill Fraser. Mick Watson's going to go wide, and Bill Fraser has to be very careful. Oh, the old concertina are up. Miraculously, they don't hit each other there. But here comes Bill Fraser on Mick Watson on driver's left-hand side of the track, coming up through the dogleg now. Not going to make it work, but Stuart Adcock now has the momentum down the inside of the final corner. Here he comes, making a move on Bill Fraser. Bill Fraser's just going to have to try and hang it around the outside. He does just by a wheel's length, but he's dropping back. He's going to lose the momentum, but to be fair, he's gaining a little bit back, but no, he's just going to have to fall back behind single file. Here comes Clark Williams and John Sully behind them, as now Bill Fraser looks to get the reply on Stuart Adcock, but not going to get it.
Certainly not there. Stuart Adcock doing what we expect from him, going for those gaps, and a very experienced racing driver there. Connery, of course, is up front. The gap between Tall and Turner is about a second at the moment. Wareham up to 3rd place, holding that one nicely over Watson in 4th. Or 5th place, I apologise. Adcock could be next up to have a look at those guys, as Bill Fraser following the veteran very, very closely here. Behind them it's Clark Williams, John Sully, Seymour Harding, and Patrick Fairbanks just outside the top 10 in 11th. He's climbed up a spot already. Up 4 spots so far. Stuart McFadden up from 17th on the grid to 13th now. That's one to keep an eye on here, Connery. Moving forwards quite rapidly, dispatching drivers behind him. But things looking pretty quiet so far. We've had one retirement, Paul Thurston. He's down a lap already. We aren't sure what happened to poor old Captain Paul Thurston, but we haven't got time for that this second. We'll have a look later, or at least have a chat to him, of course. Gary Toll still in the lead, half a second back to Mark Turner. Wareham in 3rd. He's about 8/10 of a second back, Connery. That front pack has really broken down now, but Turner looking very strong, holding on to the back end of Gary Toll.
Yeah, he's definitely not letting him get away, as we've seen Tom Wood do for the first 5 rounds of the season. He just gets to the front and then he kind of just pulls away from then onwards, as actually the number 313, Lewis Bibby, having some issues in the gravel right there, and he wasn't helped around, I don't think. That was just a little bit of an over-optimistic move down the inside of Lewis Bibby that just put him onto the gravel and has lost him a couple of positions, which is a shame because he was up 7 places before that happened on his qualifying position.
Was indeed up a few spots already. Adcock from 10th to 6th, he's climbed 4 spots here. Still being hounded by Bill Fraser from behind. That's P7, as Adcock runs a little wide, going through the S's here towards the end of the lap. Have a look back at Dorning as well. He's following in the footsteps of Wareham, but being chased now by Watson, who's not let go. So we have a 2, a 1 and a 2 here running towards the front. Wareham sitting in some dead air up there, Connery, as Turner keeping Gary Toll very honest at the moment, the 13 and the 207. Setting some great lap times. Last time by, Turner a 13.555 and Toll a 13.659. The draft, of course, just kicking in across the line.
Yeah, that's 1/10 of a second advantage that Mark Turner has at this moment in time, as he has a little bit of a look down the inside, maybe coming into turn 3 right there, but nothing going to come of it. And if you're Stephen Wareham here in the 23 car, you have to be careful because you risk losing the draft to those front 2 cars at the moment. And if you do that, well, then your chances of getting the race win is severely diminished. But he has to hope now that these 2 cars at the front, Gary Toll and Mark Turner, will start fighting to be able to bring him back into the fight. Looking behind though, that was the 310 car of Mick Watson, just having a little bit of a look, having a little bit of a peek down the inside of Gareth Dorning, but Gareth Dorning is putting up a staunch defensive fight right now.
Certainly is. One of the bigger losers so far has been Robert Plumley. He's there with Alan Patterson trying to make his way back towards the front of this group here. Good look at the 147 car of Plumley, doing his best to try and catch up here. Of course, we saw him go wide in the grass earlier on. Connery not really recovered. He's down 4 spots from where he started. Behind him, Scott Malcolm's moving forwards, 24th up to 19th. He's one to keep an eye on as well. Heading into the first corner though, things close between Tall and Turner. Tall still controlling the field though for now. The Epicure Banana, number 207, doing exactly what he has to do in this race for good points, of course. Turner and Dorning, Wareham also looking for points in this one, as Seymour Harding has had issues. We'll have a quick look at what happened to him. He went off in turn 1. We'll get a quick replay for you. Big trip through the gravel there, just overcooked it, Connery. Oh, he got a bit of a slide, he overcorrected and it whipped to the right. Tripped through the gravel, but keeps it out of the tyres.
Yeah, and that was the exact same place that Lewis Bibby had issues just a couple of laps ago. So drivers finding the braking zone for turn 2 very tricky, because you basically have to start braking just immediately after you take the apex off turn 1, and turning while braking in some cars can be a little bit sketchy, and I think that's what has caught out Seymour Harding there.
It's such a tricky, fast left-hander for turn 1. Of course, Connery, all the weight is on the right-hand side of the car, so you can't just transfer the weight to the front wheels, and it's trying to go to the front right only, which really picks up the inside, so it's going to make this car very unsettled. As I've looked there, it was a bit of a look by Mick Watson actually, as he tried to look at Gareth Dorning. Oh wow, that was a big move there. Stuart Adcock making another similar mistake, Connery. I'll try and show that one for you there, as he came in behind him, had to really go evasive to miss the back there of Mick Watson. Stuart Adcock going right out onto the gravel, losing a few spots as he circumnavigates the sand trap.
Yeah, but he was just trying to go for a closing gap around the outside after he missed out the braking point of turn 2. As you said, having to take an off-track excursion through the gravel, and now he's going to be sitting behind Clark Williams. So he's going to be in that 8th place, still up 2 places on his qualifying effort, so he can't complain too much. But that has seriously put some damper on his hopes for a race swing. As we saw Bill Fraser do a power slide there, coming through the left hand, and Clark Williams almost makes contact with him coming towards the latter end of the lap. But that just means that Clark Williams now just has to sit behind Bill Fraser, whereas he probably would have gained the position if he just shot the gap.
Speaking of banana mobiles though, we've got another one in the field. Darrell Taylor chasing down Ben Wild here. This is for the 15th spot. Darrell Taylor gets a good run through the final corner. We'll have the draft on the 28 machine there. It's a 22. We'll be right behind him as they come to the line. Going to duck to the inside, we think, and he will have the overlap. Should have the corner. We'll see if Ben Wild will hang you around the outside of 1. Or will he give it up to Darrell Taylor? He gives it up in turn 1. Move Darrell Taylor up to 15th.
Yep, and he's been moving throughout the field. Has Darrell Taylor, he qualified in a 20th position. He's up to 15th now, so that's a net gain of 5 positions. Not the biggest mover throughout the field, though. That has to go to Simon Maltby at this moment in time in the 13th place, and he's up 8 positions on his qualifying position. And inside the top 10, we haven't really got any big movers. Only Stuart Adcock, Patrick Fairbairn's up 2 positions on their qualifying position. As we see back to the race lead now, Mark Turner all over the back of Gary Tall. This is one of the closest, one of the closest he's been throughout the course of this race now, apart from the start. But he's still just not able to make the move just yet. He'll have the benefit of the draft coming down into turn 1, turn 2. But I think he's just a little bit too far back to make a move. Yeah, not close enough there at all. Well, of course, you said 2 spots up for Adcock, but that's a bit deceptive. He has been as high as 6 up. But of course, that mistake in turn 1 put him back a few spots. He's now going to have to work on Clark Williams and Bill Fraser for a second time here as he follows him into turn 2. That trio getting very close there.
Williams has been quiet this season, Connery. Not seen a lot from him, but it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. Bill Fraser going to be under some pressure here. Not the coolest driver under pressure, but very, very fast.
Yep, indeed. And let's see what happens in what is basically the second train right now, because there's a train from Gary Tall all the way down to Mick Watson in 5th place, and the second train is going to be starting with Bill Fraser and Clark Williams. And Clark Williams looking very, very feisty at this stage in the race. Usually he's one of these drivers that we talk about being very cool, calm, and collected, just waiting for his moment. But I think right now this is just his go time as he power slides it through that corner right there, that left-hander. Now he's going to come under threat as a result from Stuart Adcock. But Stuart Adcock not able to find a way by just yet. Maybe he'll sling one down the inside of the final turn, but no, he's just gonna follow in line.
Certainly is. Up front still Gary Tall, Mark Turner, Stephen Wareham, Gareth Dorning and Mick Watson, your top 5, with Fraser, Williams, Adcock and Sully and Fairbanks up in your top 10 spots. Fairbanks up into a top 10 finish here. We did mention Simon Maltby before, Connery, as a driver comes on to pit road. To try and work out who that one is. I think that's somebody from a little bit further up your field, perhaps. But Maltby will be happy.
Yeah, sorry, it was a 76 of Craig Hobson, and he looks to have some fairly significant suspension damage to that Skip Barber machine. Not entirely sure what was happening there, but yeah, actually, he was just coming out the final corner, in fact. He just clipped the outside wall, and that has just knocked the suspension out on that Skip Barber car.
Certainly has. Of course, we talked about how Simon Maltby's going to have a happy day so far today. He's done well in this race. Under attack, though, by the other banana wagon of Darrell Taylor, looking for 14th, well, no, looking for 12th, 13th position now. I'll get the numbers right eventually. As Darrell Taylor managed to get past a few cars there. Working on Simon Maltby now, the number 20 under threat. The SRM machine being chased down by the Epicure banana car. There's banana machines all throughout this field. Fantastic liveries on those cars. As the 20 car of Maltby having a good fight here. Mid-party or kind of top 15 here, Connery, but not the best exit there by Darrell Taylor. He lost some time, but he actually has a good run, better than we thought. So it seems to be his favourite passing spot through the final sequence of corners. Huge run there on Simon Maltby. Another textbook pass, same as he did to Ben Wild. Pulls to the inside. Should have the line for turn 1. Will Maltby try and hold it? He goes for it as well. Maltby going to put some effort. Oh, contact! Oh, round he goes. That was the narrowest escape for Darrell Taylor I have ever seen. A bit like Mario Kart. Looks like he threw a banana out of the racetrack there. As they're headed to turn 1. Try and get replay of that one. As he just ran his tyres onto the gravel there, Connery. Lost traction. Round he went, but look at that. He goes right in front of Darrell Taylor. Taylor's heart must have been in his mouth.
Yeah, that's why I was just about to say that. That was a very, very scary moment for the driver of the number 22 there. And, well, he just needs to take through a few breaths and calm down after a scare like that. That's definitely not what you want to see happening going down into turn 2. But again, it's issues in the braking zone coming down into the turn 1, turn 2 sort of sequence. And some drivers just getting it all wrong and just running out into that gravel.
They certainly were. Let's have a look back at the front. The 207 of Tall still fending off Mark Turner. Gap largely unchanged, but Stephen Wareham's got a bit of a head of steam in these dying laps, Connery. On to lap 13 here of 19. Stephen Wareham catching up to Mark Turner. Could be a contender.
Yeah, it could well be. And, well, I mentioned a couple of laps ago that he was risking losing the draft. Well, now he's put some afterburners on the back of that Skip Barber car, and now he's right with your two, well, basically leaders at this point. Meanwhile, Darrell Taylor, I believe, is having a couple of issues. And not entirely sure why. I should try to find him, but maybe you can give a report on that one, Rachel.
Yeah, he's just dropped back into, well, the 13th place he's still scored in, but he's lost some time to Ben Wild, who's up in 14th spot. And based on what we saw earlier on, it looks as though he had a bit of a run onto some gravel, but he's okay now. Oh, it's just before the Maltby issue. He lost some time there, but take a look back to our leaders. Things are very close right now, as the widest run I've ever seen there by Gary Tall. Taking it very close to that concrete wall there. Different lines slightly to the cars. Bit of a wiggle on the exit, but it's carried the speed for him as he heads into turn 1. Close between 3rd and 2nd. But Gary Tall under pressure, really having to push that car hard now, as Mark Turner and Stephen Wareham looking at him. I think it's actually Wareham has really inspired this push, Connery. He's made Mark Turner look at his mirrors and decide it's time to go. Gary Tall's getting the brunt of both of them.
Yeah, meanwhile, this fight for, fight between Stuart Adcock, Bill Fraser, Clark Williams, and John Sully is raging on as well. So 2 separate fights inside your top 10 to have a look at. And, it was Stuart Adcock managing to get his way through at the start of the lap on Bill Fraser. But I don't think Bill Fraser is one to just sit and just let that happen.
Certainly not. Bill Fraser going to try and fight this one back, although Adcock had gotten past him once. The second time now for Adcock. We'll see if he can make this gap here and hold on. But as you mentioned, John Sully there and Clark Williams now bunched up into this foursome of cars on the racetrack here in the bottom half of your top 10. Patrick Fairbanks still scored in 10th behind them. He's running on his own in a bit of a pocket. As just up towards the front. It's still Mick Watson, Gareth Dorning, the 4th and 5th spot here, Connery. They're in a bit of a pair. Not quite caught your leaders yet, but not dropped off the back either. Fraser and Adcock, they are side by side across the line. Fraser has a big run now. Should have the line into turn 1. Adcock's going to be very nervous about going around the outside as he does just ease off and try and slot back in ahead of Clark Williams, making sure he had just enough room to get back in, lose only 1 spot rather than 2. Obviously didn't want to see himself going back off the racetrack there, Connery. Will look to the inside though of Fraser into 3. Big move there by Adcock as he puts it up the inside, but it's not going to be enough around the outside. Defense by Bill Fraser. Fantastic racing by the Scotsman there. Holds that spot beautifully. Stuart Adcock, the veteran, being held at bay by the young Scotsman. Fantastic racing down here for the 6th and 7th position on the racetrack. Up towards the front of your field, Gary Tall, Mark Turner still fighting. The gap opened up a bit to Wareham right now. That one's not as close as it has been while I've looked through this final corner. Who gets a good run this time out of your top 3? And Gary Tall carrying so much speed there, Connery. Running wider than anybody else, taking a bit of an earlier turn into that corner. Really giving him the run to maintain that lead and defend his position. We'll look just behind them at the Adcock-Fraser group here. Can Adcock get another run on Fraser? Will he dive to the inside? He will go for it. Stuart Adcock up the inside. Huge head of steam there. Just ahead of him by 1. No real defense for Bill Fraser there. Can't really do much to hold on to this. He'll try regardless. And he just keeps a nose there, but he gets it lost before they get out of turn 2. Defensive line here by Stuart Adcock, having to defend for 6th place. Not something he thought he'd be doing, but look at this. Patrick Fairbanks has caught this group as well while they're fighting. The whole group bunching up there. Keep your eyes on that. Close as well with Turner and Tall, but it has been all race long. This second group, though, the exciting part of the race here. Connery, can Adcock hold on?
Well, if you're looking for experience, then Adcock has all of the experience to deal with these sorts of situations. But Bill Fraser, well, he's impressed us over the last couple of seasons. Maybe he can impress us again, getting one over on one of the veterans of the series, I have to say. But we'll have to wait and see as they're going to head their way through the final corner for one of the final times here at Oran Park. Meanwhile, behind them, Clark Williams has blown his engine. A huge amount of smoke pouring out of that engine.
Huge explosion there. I'll get a quick replay of that one. That must have scared the car of John Sully behind him as that was going into the final braking zone for the corner. Just a shift, I think, and that engine has thrown its pistons out the exhaust pipe. Huge smoke cloud there, worthy of a James Bond car. As that car comes grinding to a halt. Sad end to the day there for Clark Williams. As up at the front, things closing up yet again here as Dorning and Watson catching up, and story really has been Wareham and Dorning here, Connery. They've had a fantastic season so far as new drivers in the series, and they're making a damn good showing of themselves up in 3rd and 4th place right now.
Yep, they really are, and well, if anything happens between Gary Tall and Mark Turner, then they may be on for a race win here coming towards the end of the race. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that one. As Gary Tall, he does pull out a little bit of a gap in the middle sector on Mark Turner, but Mark Turner tends to gain it back because he has the benefit of the draft down the pit straight. Another wide turn for Gary Tall, trying to maximize the momentum coming out of the corner as they come onto the penultimate lap now. Rachel, I still not entirely sure which one of these top 3 are going to come home with the race win. Meanwhile, side by side for 4th place, this is Gareth Dorning and Mick Watson. They're going to head their way too wide. Coming into the first corner, there's a blown engine ahead. I believe that was Stephen Wareham just throwing his pistons out the exhaust like you said before.
It was as well. Unfortunate there. Heartbreak for Stephen Wareham, losing a spot now. This is opening up this second group for a battle for 3rd, which now means everything here as the 139 there Gareth Dorney looking for a potential podium. Would be a second this season. A fantastic result if he could hold on, as Watson now smells the blood of a podium in the water. But a great move there by Gareth Dorney when it needed to happen, getting that 4th spot, now 3rd. Heartbreak for Stephen Wareham there. Mark Turner, Gary Toll, the only two now at the front. Clear mirrors for Mark Turner heading onto front liners. Oh, we have another blown motor behind us.
Mick Watson?
Mick Watson could be, yes. Mick Watson blown his engine as well, another one. The 3rd victim of a blown engine in this race. Must be the shifting being quite aggressive here. Can you look at this? So Gary Toll, look at the corner he takes. Keep this one light as we get Gary Toll across the line there. Look at that. That was the corner exit though. He just carries it so differently, Connery. You'd think Mark Turner would adapt from that one and see what he's doing. Try and copy his opponent. Oh, there's another motor goes. Mark Turner. Not even a braking zone there. Must have been in the draft too long with Gary Toll. Hot air in the engine. Not going to keep that motor cool. 4 engines down. Can Gary Toll survive a lap? He has no competition. He can afford to be a little relaxed. There's all behind them. Bill Fraser, Stuart Adcock dicing into 2. The battle is now for 2nd and 3rd here. This is huge as Bill Fraser and Stuart Adcock duking this one out. Through turn 3, pushing each other wide. Bill Fraser, Stuart Adcock here, fighting so hard for this. They can smell it. That's all. Bill Fraser collects the back corner of Adcock. Adcock can hold on though for now. As Bill Fraser drops back a little bit, John Sully's managed to get past. He's now up to this next spot in line. He'll be 5th, I believe, or 4th at the moment, as his 2nd and 3rd there. Gary Toll, only a handful of corners left to come through. As no, Gareth Dorning will take 2nd. Fantastic result from him. But out of the final corner, Gary Toll, a relaxed final corner. Just make it to the line before you blow your engine, Gary. Across the line with the win, Gary Toll for round number 7. And it'll be Gareth Dorning in 2nd, with Stuart Adcock in 3rd, Bill Fraser in 4th, John Sully 5th, and a fantastic 6th place for Patrick Fairbanks, Connery.
Yep, it really is. And, well, the battle for 11th, 12th, and 13th, this is going to be very close coming across the line as well. But it's going to be Ben Wild. He's going to be taking the 10th place as, well, the iRacing system will count the cars that have dropped out of the race this time by. But, wow, that was very, very bizarre indeed. The amount of engines we had below on those last couple of laps. I just had a little bit of a look at the weather for this session, and the air temp is very warm indeed. So that could have contributed to the amount of engine issues that we had this session.
It's about 10 degrees up on normal, Connery, and that was definitely a shake-up for time, I think, more than we expected. I don't think we ever thought we'd see 4 engines blow on the final lap, but we did. As everyone's across the line, we'll go to your post-race results. Gary Toll coming home with a win in round number 7. Gareth Dorning 2nd place with Adcock, final podium spot in 3rd. Bill Fraser and John Sully rounding out your top 5, with Patrick Fairbanks coming home with a fantastic 6th. Seymour Harding, Stuart Bunyan in 8th place, first top 10. Robert Plumley in 9th, and Ben Wild rounding out your top 10. Behind them, lead lap finishers including Sam Motby, Darrell Taylor, Alan Patterson with a record, I believe, 13th, Scott Malcolm, Paul E. Thompson, Oliver Elliott, Neil Bontemps, Brian Loynes in 18th. Final runners, Mark Turner, Stephen Wareham, Mick Watson, Paul Thurston, Craig Hobson, Clark Williams, Lewis Bibby, Dave M. Dawson, Mark Day, Stuart McFadden, and Anthony Dickens. Well, folks, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a moment's time with your post-race interviews. Go nowhere. Racebot TV post-race coverage here from Monday Night Skippies. For a first time in a long time, we have the race winner with us for a chat here in post-race, Gary Tall. Congratulations on the win today, holding off, it was Mick Watson for a long time until everyone blew their engine. You are allowed to talk. You know what, Connery? I think he's feeling shy, so we'll have a quick look to who else has come home. John Sully with 5th place today. John, fantastic result again. Engines exploding everywhere, but fantastic battle for you with the likes of Fraser, Adcock, and of course Clark Williams. Good result.
Yeah, it was fraught. I'll put it that way. And I had a massive moment in turn 7, I think it is. I did it sideways for about 100 yards, and somehow I think that might have been save of the day, and it kept me in the race. And then everyone kept blowing their engine, which was a bit bizarre. But yeah, I started 7th and finished 5th, so can't complain. It was good fun.
Certainly was. We'll have a quick chat to your teammate Craig Hobson, who unfortunately had a bit of a sticky end. Craig came home 2 laps down in 23rd, but had been running very strongly all race. What went wrong, Craig?
Hi, Rachel. Yeah, no, we just got a bit of air wash off Patrick coming out that last corner, and just tagged the front wheel on the wall on the exit, and ripped the suspension out, and did a quick repair, and then chasing Oliver down, and yeah, unfortunately he went off the track, and as he came back across the track, committed to the apex again in the last corner, and he took me clean out. So for a lap from the end. So apart from that, I've been running strong all week.
Well, fantastic performance, even if the result didn't show it. Thank you very much, Craig Hobson. And I hope we do have Gary Tall finally.
Hello, Rachel.
We do indeed. Fantastic. First time we've spoken to a winner in this series in what feels like several years. But Gary, you managed to survive where others' engines did not, and you held off the charge all race long. Flag to flag victory. Happy?
Very, yeah. It was tough. Who was behind me? I thought it was Mark who was behind me. But,
it was Mark. It wasn't Mick. That was behind him. So yes, Mark Turner.
Yeah, I was sad for him, but I was quite pleased when his engine went on the last lap. It just gave me an easier last lap.
Were you panicking perhaps that yours might explode next, or?
No, it's a bad habit I used to have, and I've done a lot to try and get out of over-revving the engine, so I felt I was okay.
One thing I actually wanted to ask you about was the final corner. You seem to have a different line to every other person on the track today. Was that your secret?
I think it was good. I don't think it was necessarily the fastest, but I think it was quite a good defensive line into the corner.
Well, either way, ended up with the results you needed in this one. Congratulations, first new winner this season, and one of only 2 winners we've had. Gary Tall coming home with the victory here at Oran Park in round number 7.
Thank you.
Move on now quickly to Simon Maltby next, who came home today. He survived this time. Comes home today in 11th place. Great race for you, Simon. Very busy one.
Yeah, really hard work. I find that first corner, if someone is overtaking you on the inside, really hard. And I think I actually had the save of the day when Darryl was inside me and I got it sideways, went down the track sideways and still managed to recover without hitting anyone.
We noticed that one. We had you right on camera.
How I got through that, I do not know. And then it was just a case of picking up places mainly as people dropped out with blown engines. I don't think I can be revving my engine hard enough because I've never blown one, so maybe I ought to try revving more.
Maybe that is the secret, but whatever you're doing, it's working. So congratulations on 11th for you, and we'll now come to the teammate of Gary Tall and Darryl Taylor, who had the near miss with Simon Maltby's drifting Skippy. Unfortunate, not the day you wanted, Paul Thurston. 22nd in the end after qualifying 16th. A strong race until bad things happened in the early going. I think Paul's off getting a cup of tea, unless he's actually going to be here at all. Oh, no Paul Thurston, I don't think, at the moment, unfortunately. So, Connery, we'll wrap this one up. It has been a fantastic race today. Some great action. A first new winner this season from Gary Tall. Gareth Dorning and Stuart Adcock on the podium. A fantastic race here at Oran Park. don't forget, you can join us same time next week on Monday Night Skippies. Have a great night.